Every June, this video from the Rapid City flood of 1972 surfaces. While it's important to remember the hundreds of lives lost, the truth is this flood still rages on for its survivors.
In some ways it feels like yesterday, and some it seems like another lifetime altogether.
Merlyn Magner was just 19 years old and had arrived back home in Rapid City that June day.
And I remember it very vividly. It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining, and I had just come in from California. My brother had flown in from Tempe, Arizona.
While brother and sister caught up, their parents went across the street to a friend's house.
I remember our father called from across the street at the Smiths and said, "Pull the cars up into the driveway. There'll be some rain tonight," which we did. And then sure enough, water started seeping underneath the front door, and we plugged that up with bath towels from the bathroom.
Magner says from that point on, time sped up.
My brother looked out the back doors where we had French doors that led into the backyard, and there was about a 5-foot wall of water that was lapping at the house. And my brother took me by the shoulders and said, "We really need to get out."
Her brother was the first to make it to the roof.
He made it, and then all hell broke loose, basically. I was swept up in the current.
She saw her parents on the neighbor's rooftop.
So they saw me in the water, struggling in the water, and my father called out to me to hold on to something, grab onto something to keep afloat, which of course I couldn't. And at this point there was quite a bit of debris in the water. There were other people, houses, bits of wood, debris, houses were breaking up. It was happening. The flood was happening.
Magner says that's when she started to drown.
But it was long enough that I was running out of air, and I knew that I was dying. And I thought, well, this is it, and this is how it will end. And then all of a sudden, I was struck by this shingle roof, and somehow pulled myself up onto that rooftop.
Magner held onto that rooftop all night.
I thought it was the end of the world. I mean, it was a very scary night. It was pitch black. There was a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning, a lot of, hard to describe, people crying out for help in the water, and there was nothing anyone could do. It was just bad.
The next morning, the National Guard came in to look for survivors in what looked like a war zone.
And I looked at the house where my parents were, where this cocktail party was taking place, and it was gone, completely gone. Our house was still intact, yet it was gutted at that point.
Magner learned her entire family had drowned.
I mean, the worst was yet to come. And the worst being living without my family, reconciling what had happened, going through the grief process, dealing with all these myriad of feelings inside of me that I hadn't dealt with.
And after years of blocking those feelings, they all came pouring out in this book, Come Into the Water, a survivor's story.
Heavy rain and flooding burst through and filled the canyon walls surrounding my family home. My mother, my father, and my brother would drown that night. I was swept away and landed on a rooftop, the only survivor. This is my story.
This month, Magner traveled the state, signing her book and talking with other survivors.
I speak about some not very pleasant aspects of the aftermath, including my anger and the looting and, certain things that went on that were horrific, quite frankly. And I didn't know what the response to that would be. And those people were there.
Magner says the flood's aftermath will always be with her, and the loss of her family will never really heal.
No, because there really is no answer to the question I had, which was the big one, the why of, why me and why am I here? But I believe There is a reason. I don't know what it is.
But Magner's journey to peace can be found on these pages in a piece of South Dakota history that cannot be forgotten.
I'm in a better place. I'm in a more peaceful place.